These brand new revelations could bring more political fallout just 4 days before the election. Let's bring in Jonah Goldberg, editor-at-large for National Review and a Fox News contributor. I want to take you back a week or two, Jonah, because one of the things that President Obama said was that there were intelligence failures surrounding this whole Benghazi fiasco that led to the 4 dead Americans and the sacking of our consulate there. Well, if you blame an agency and say, okay, it's your fault, you tend to get a little blowback, assuming the criticism is misdirected.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think that some of the stories that we've been hearing about Benghazi in the last few weeks from the CIA suggest that some people in the CIA and the security services were not all that pleased with both what President Obama said, but also what Vice President Biden said about not being informed and not being in the loop or whatever it was during the vice presidential debate. And I think what we're seeing in Washington right now is this immense turf battle behind the scenes starting to spill over into plain view. And it's only because of that spectacle that a lot of the mainstream media is finally paying attention to it.
Why is this story not getting more coverage in the mainstream media?
I hate to be so reductionist about these kinds of things, but I think it basically boils down to the fact that it's an inconvenient story for the Obama campaign. And that President Obama continually has said things that don't square with reality, and if you pay attention to that, that's bad for Obama. This is the way a lot of the mainstream media has responded to this, is they've responded as if this was some sort of unfair October surprise by the Romney campaign, when in reality, this was news. This was real news. And the president and his subordinates, including the ambassador to the UN, his press spokesman, have been saying many untrue things. And it hasn't aroused the attention or the interest very much of a lot of the mainstream media, with a few exceptions, most notably at Fox, but also maybe Jake Tapper and Eli Lake at Newsweek, Tapper's at ABC. But generally, there's been no feeding frenzy, and I think that's sort of a scandal.
Yeah, you raise a couple of interesting comparisons. For instance, the story that emerged just before the election about George W. Bush's then 24-year-old DUI conviction. That was an example. You also raised the example of Dan Rather going after George W. Bush about his military service.
Yeah, look, I mean, what has 2 thumbs and thinks the mainstream media is liberal? You know, this guy. I mean, it's an old argument, and it's somewhat of a tired argument, but it's not an untrue argument. And it seems to me that a lot of the mainstream media basically they are working from the same cues, the same assumptions that essentially the Democratic Party is working from. And so in the weeks that the Benghazi story has been unfolding, and the president has been saying these really outrageously untrue things about what he ordered, when he ordered it, about how he got all the information out, going back to Susan Rice about how these CIA operatives were basically our ambassador's bodyguards, which is just flatly untrue, and no one's revisited that. The media has been obsessing about the war on women and binders and all of this sort of nonsense about Big Bird, and I think it just shows where their instincts are. It doesn't mean they're insincere, but where they get excited sort of lines up with Democrats.
Yeah, it's a strange world. Jonah Goldberg. Jonah, thank you.
Great to be here.